Hey, it's Casey from Hinayana, and you're listening to the Dan Chan Show on Hard Rock Hell Radio.
Hey Casey, how are you?
Good, man. How's it going?
Very well indeed. So your awesome new EP, Death of the Cosmic, came out at the end of August, a follow-up to the 2018 album Order Divine. What made you go for an EP instead of a full-length this time?
Yeah, that's a good question. One of the things we wanted to do is we really wanted to take hold of some of the things that we felt like we didn't do right or good enough on the album, and kind of fix that stuff in a way that, and do it in a format that we could kind of also evolve our sound and experiment with things. And so we didn't really want to have to commit to a whole album to do that. And we kind of wanted this to actually be a stepping stone between albums. Yeah. You know, it's funny, we released it this year, but we actually finished the EP last year with the intention of releasing it last year as well.
Oh, really?
So it really was supposed to be released already, but you know, we had this whole new development with Napalm, and that kind of changed things.
Yeah, I'll come to that. I've got a question about Napalm in a bit, so I'll come to that. So that was so COVID didn't affect it at all then?
No, COVID-19 did not affect it. Thank God, no, it didn't. It didn't affect the recording of this EP.
That's good. So what do you focus on when it comes to writing? What are the themes for the band?
Yeah, so there's a lot of themes as far as lyrics go. And it's just subject material, you know. There's a lot of themes of self-realization and a painful self-realization, you know, and sort of spirituality in the sense that it's like more of a brutal realization of the way things are. And it's kind of, there's on this new EP, there's sort of a theme of, you know, self-destruction as a human species here on this earth. Yeah. And so that's one of the things. Order Divine is more of what I was saying earlier, but the EP is a little bit more specific to that subject.
Mm-hmm. And do you bring any US issues into it at all? Well, I watched the debate from last night this morning when I woke up. What's your opinion on all that?
Thankfully, we actually steer clear of all that stuff when it comes to the subject matter and the lyrics and stuff. So there's no really political drive with any of the lyrics. It's more spiritual and personal. You know what I mean?
Cool. That's cool. So personally, yourself, you started off this as a one-man band. How did it evolve into the full band setup? Did you get bored of doing it alone, or did you feel it was time to bring other guys in?
Yeah, so, well, I had been bored of doing it by myself for quite a while. Yeah. But, you know, as I said, I lived out in Dripping Springs for, you know, growing up and playing music and playing metal out there, and there was nobody out there to jam this kind of stuff with. So it really took moving to Austin and, you know, engaging with the people in Austin to really get the band formed. But what made me really want to do it was actually a lot of the positive stuff that people were saying about just the demo that I had released back in 2014. I didn't even think it was going to, you know, take off or do anything. I thought the demo would just sit there, and I was like, oh, I wanted to just release something.
Do something for yourself. Know what I mean?
Yeah. And so I guess it was just the confidence that, oh, hey, someone likes what I'm doing. Yeah. let's do this for real. you know?
So how many instruments do you play? You played everything on that demo, didn't you?
Yes, I did. And then that was, and you say everything, but the drums certainly weren't, you know, I mean, those were sampled drums, you know. Yeah. So there was nothing I could do about that. I didn't have a drummer. I didn't have the ability to go record those. Yeah. But yes, so I play guitar, bass, I do vocals. You know, I do keys. You know, I do the orchestration on all the stuff that gets written for the band. So I go in and program all that stuff, do the kind of sound designing, you know, all that fun stuff. That's actually one of my favorite parts of it. At the very end, getting to fill in all the details and the detail work. Yeah,
attention to detail, definitely. So did it help bring in with the writing side of it, having more guys to bounce off?
Yes, absolutely. Not even just like starting to get, you know, ideas bouncing off other guys in the band. It was really cool because you could really gauge, you know, well, how good is this, you know, and compared to just myself, I didn't have anything to judge it on, you know. It was really cool to be able to have more heads in the game focused on this. And now as we're starting to actually write stuff together, it's really cool having all these other ideas put in there, being brought forward that I didn't have. And I think it's really going to be beneficial to the band's sound.
And more people and more guys to drink with, of course.
Oh, absolutely.
So this EP has brought the attention of you guys to the likes of me, and that's got to be thanks to your new label, Napalm Records. What's it like working with Napalm Records? You know, who you signed with back in May.
Yeah, it's actually been fantastic. They're very passionate and they're very professional, and they seem to know exactly what they're doing. And I mean, so far I trust them based on that alone. Yeah, they've been really great to work with, and I think it's really cool because, you know, this, like you said, this is a new label for us, and I've never had like so many people, you know, like a team working for us. It's very cool. It's like, oh, this is no longer just our little rinky dinky, you know, project here. Now other people want to do stuff with this.
That's cool. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And the EP cover, which I love, it looks like something from a dystopian landscape. What's that all about?
Yeah, so I would say you're probably correct in saying that's how it looks.
Yeah.
That was kind of what the general thoughts were when it came to that. It's supposed to basically be, when you're looking at it, it's this knife's edge brutalist type building, kind of cutting through the dying landscape, leaving shadows of stars and night sky kind of in its wake, and it's kind of supposed to represent our concrete world that we're kind of building in place of nature, and how nature is dying around it. And it's a very gloomy looking album cover. And I think, you know, the artist who did it was Travis Smith, and I originally had a little sketch for him, and you know, it was like some crap that looked like it was done by a 5-year-old. But hey, you know what? He made it. So he made it look really good.
So it's not your average building in Dripping Springs, then?
No, it is not. There might be one like that in Austin, but
I'm sure.
Not out in Dripping.
I'm sure. So the word Hinayana, what does it mean? I believe it has a Buddhist meaning, doesn't it?
Yeah, so it's actually a Sanskrit word, first and foremost, and it's used in Buddhism to describe a certain sect. It kind of literally translates to lesser vehicle, or you can kind of extrapolate other meanings from it. Like, for instance, in the case of us, it's lesser path, you know, the lesser path to enlightenment. These kind of themes, I like that because it's sort of like the path of suffering, the path of painful self-realization.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how we use it in the context of the band. And I do like the way it's used in Buddhism, but we're not like a Buddhist band. No. We're not like trying to represent Buddhism with the music. So just to clarify.
Yeah, sure. So what are your, going back in Casey's life, what are your personal influences and what got you to where you are today?
Yeah, so one of the first real big influences for me back in the day, it was funny. I remember what really got me into metal was kind of actually going to Ozfest in 2006, and I had just been learning guitar at that point, and you know, I remember just seeing some of these big bands on stage, and seeing like Zakk Wylde and Black Label Society, you know, and Ozzy, and I was like, wow, okay, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. There's no question about it at that point. And then I remember the first metal album that I really heard was the Black Album by Metallica, and so that was even before I went to Ozfest. That was a pretty cool moment, just hearing like palm muted guitar for the first time. I was thinking like, wow, okay, so that was some big influential stuff for me back in the day.
Now Texas has a great pedigree of metal, but which side of the pond has the best metal?
I don't know, man. So I mean, I look down on my library with all the bands and stuff that I listen to, and it's almost all entirely from Northern Europe. And it's not by design on my part. It's just that just happens to be where my favorite stuff comes from. So I'm a little biased towards that.
Yeah, of course. What was the lockdown like for you earlier this year? Did you use the time wisely? Were you recording stuff for the next album? Yeah, so we actually, aside from just trying to stay sane right when everything shut down because we couldn't go to band practice, we all just started hunkering down and kind of just writing, not necessarily recording yet, but we're getting on that now, and pretty soon we're going to be doing something like that. But yeah, we've been making some good progress on new material, and that's one of the things we want to do because, well, this whole record deal wasn't even completely solidified by the time that this lockdown happened. So it was just, everything was just so like, oh my God, it's so painful and like crummy to have to deal with all at once. So yeah, putting all that energy into writing new stuff seemed like
the best choice.
Yeah, well done. And do you like experimenting with music? I refer to the unusual instrument in the track "Cold Conception." Tell me about that.
Yeah, so we actually had discovered, because I had known about Tenger Cavalry, Nature Gang and Bygall's band for years before we collaborated with him. And what was cool was we found out that he lived in Austin at the time. We didn't even realize that for quite a while. And it was like, oh, he actually moved from New York to Austin. Okay, that's cool. And so we wanted to collaborate with him because, personally, I love the way that the horsehead fiddle sounds on all the songs that he does. And we knew we wanted to add some different dynamic to this EP. We figured that track would be good. It has a lot of energy, and honestly, I don't think that it could have turned out better. And at this point, I can't even really listen to the song without, I can't hear it without his parts.
And it's sad he died last year, didn't he? I had to Google who he was, but it's sad to see that he died at such a young age.
Yeah, it was very painful, and it was a really big blow to the Austin metal community, and I think the bigger folk metal community as a whole. I think it really sucked. Yeah, very sad.
So what's the future for Hinayana? Are you hoping to get over to Europe, with Napalm behind you now? The world's your oyster, right?
Yeah, hopefully once all this COVID stuff gets settled a little bit, we'll get on the road, get over there. That's definitely a big goal of ours. That's something we've been wanting to do for a long time. So yeah, that's a big plan for us. Obviously, until then, we're going to just try to fill in the gaps with hopefully some online content. So hopefully something we can do without touring, because that hasn't come back here yet.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Has it not? I was just going to say, have you got is there anything planned for North America for the future?
We're working on it, but nothing as of yet, and that just has to do with state regulations. And so when we see some of that stuff opening back up, we're going to start trying to book some stuff, and so that'll be next year for sure. But we have a couple shows on tours that are just local shows on tours that are coming through.
Yeah.
That obviously we're not playing on the whole tour, but we have a couple shows that were rescheduled from last year, so we'll see if those get canceled or not. So, great. I mean, I'm going to be positive. I'm going to try to just we're going to try to keep our heads up. You know.
Well, Casey, I'm telling everyone to check you guys out. Good luck with everything, and hope to see you on the road in the future.
Hell yeah! Thank you very much, man. Thanks for having me on.